Welcome back to Vampire the Masquerade. Reckoning in New York, I think the game is called. And yeah, we're gonna do the mission for Kaiser. Very strange individual that we met previously. Maybe we can quickly recap ourselves. It seems like every time I restart the game, it resets the characters, so this game does have quite a few bugs, I would say. None too bad, but also it seems like Kaiser is not in the list here anymore. Maybe not anymore. I mean, I don't know if he was in the list before. Might be that he was never there. The Antediluvians are the founders of the 13 clans. Taki is the child we already looked at before. Well, then let's take a look. Circulatory Systems Labs. The Lifeline, Kaiser. Every second near Kaiser makes me want to punch a wall. But still, his little cloak and dagger act might be what we need to break into the circulatory system. Patrick and I spend a solid 5 minutes just gazing up the building we're about to infiltrate. Our necks craned, completely silent. Call him psyched, I guess. That's one massive fucking building, if I've ever seen one. Sorry, that's Kali. That's one massive fucking building if I've ever seen one. Indeed. It might complicate our plans, as vague as that is. It probably packed with high-tech security guards and the usual batch of guards lurking around every corner. Yet, there are also plenty of empty spots we could all use to lay low. Look at you, picking up the tricks of the trade. Let's not sit around. Time's running out. The interior of this circulatory system branch is artfully incognito, masquerading as a budget-friendly medical clinic. It's a perfect cover. Under the radar from nosy bourgeoisie, cops and the feds, while justifying the constant stream of various folks at all hours, even at ungodly hours. Like right now, for instance. And here I am, ready to dive into the fray. Ready? Patrick nods, and right in front of my eyes undergoes a profound transformation. His whole demeanor shifts, turning snotty, refined, and downright disdainful. His usual slouch disappears, replaced by a straightened back, lifted chin, and squared shoulders. He could pass for some stuck-up young heir from a wealthy family if it weren't for his tacky shirt and fleshy rings tucked away in his pockets. Mr. Tiburon's very own stooge. He strides forward, oozing confidence and poise, while I duck myself into his shadow, minimizing my bearing practically invisibly. The moment we step into the foyer, all eyes are on us. Or more accurately, on Patrick, a dashing young concierge with a plastered-on smile hurries over to greet us. Patrick makes a show of coldly refusing to reciprocate his warm and polite greetings, immediately asserting himself as a domineering and difficult client. In the meantime, behind his back, I keep quiet, my face impassive and supremely bored. If I had gum, I'd be blowing bubbles like it's nobody's business. As planned, when we get separated, Patrick leaves with the concierge to discuss business, while I'm paired up with another employee, a young woman named Nima, who, per Patrick's firm request, is tasked with showing me around the labs. ASAP. She tries to smile at me, but my impassive face wins out in the battle of expressions. Shall we go, ma'am? I simply shrug and nod in response, and we make our way towards the elevators. The moment we step into the labs, my persona changes, as if turned inside out. I make sure that my tour guide sees my eyes widen, and smiles split my face in half as I even my gait and gestures to become more spry and animated. One look at her back in the foyer told me all I needed to know about this Nima and how to manipulate her. She clearly loves her job and takes an enormous amount of pride in it, and nothing would make her happier than sharing every single detail about it. All she needs is a willing ear. Well, here I am, both ears wide open. I bombard her with questions, and she happily obliges, growing more and more animated with each answer. But the more she talks, the more distracted she becomes. She shows me around many, from my perspective, useless rooms, and then I feel something small scuttle between my boots. I glance down. A mouse? Really? Is this the level of cleanliness we're dealing with here? This little bloodthirsty critter probably chews on blood bags for fun. A good quarter of an hour later, we enter a larger laboratory on the other side, decked out with incomprehensible glass gadget, several rows of coolers with blood, and a PC connected to the local intranet. Perfect. So, the mouse must be nearby. Silence of death, silence. Or do it for me. I could ask the woman to do it for me. I kind of feel like, as I said before, I feel like she's a very social character. Like, why not let the woman help me manipulate that? I turn to Nima with a dazzling smile, letting the warm tendrils of my charming persona extend towards her and wrap her in a warm embrace. She looks a touch puzzled for a moment before visibly melting. Her expression goes all mushy, eyes half-lidded, pupils blown wide against the brown backdrop of her irises. I step closer, lowering my voice to a seductive purr as I get right up in her blushing face. Your work here is fascinating, Nima, but I bet you've got some gems you haven't shown me yet. How about you fetch one of your favorite projects for me to check out? I'd love to sample the goods, so to speak. Yes, ma'am. Right away, ma'am. No need to rush, darling. Take your time. She scurries off, stealing glances at me over her shoulder, and I make sure to keep my eyes trained on her as she disappears behind a wall. That's my cue. I get to the PC. It's password protected, of course. Hacking isn't exactly my forte, but I'm good at predicting mortal laziness. The password is on a post-it, stuck to a notebook on the desk. I access the PC and hastily make a copy of the database, glancing up from time to time to keep watch, with one hand groping at the PC case to access its bowels. I manage to extract the portable hard drive and tuck it in my belt bag just seconds before Nima returns. I have it here, ma'am. The project you've requested. I smile at her, keeping my radiance firmly fixed on her like a vice. Oh, yes, of course. Thank you for humoring me. Yes, ma'am. She launches into a lengthy explanation of the device she's presenting me with, but I tune out most of it, nodding and making the occasional ooh and ah is enough to keep her going, all while subtly guiding her towards the foyer. Once we reach the exit, I blink in mock surprise and offer her a smile tingled with fake regret. It seems like our little tour is over. Thank you for showing me around. She furrows her brows, clearly a bit confused about how we ended up here, but she smiles brightly nonetheless. It was my pleasure, ma'am. I wait for what feels like forever before Patrick sweeps into the foyer, followed closely by the concierge who's practically tripping over himself to keep up. He's drowning Patrick in apologies and desperate pleas for future meetings, his face going from flushed to pale as a ghost. Meanwhile, Patrick's pulling off the whole disappointed VIP act like a pro, effortlessly brushing off apologies and offers for better deals. It's like watching the performance of a lifetime. Or maybe the opposite. I can barely hold back my laughter, especially when he heads for the door without a second glance, snapping his fingers at me as to follow. I manage to keep up my obedient facade as we leave the circulatory system and hop into Patrick's car. No telling if they caught on to someone snagging their precious data scot-free, but the circulatory system doesn't come tearing after us as we peel off. Patrick's clearly geared up for a pursuit, the way he's maneuvering through the streets pedal to the metal, eyes flickering around like a paranoid squirrel on the lookout for a trail. Let's go faster. I think I saw someone following us. Maybe pick up the pace a bit, just in case. He gives me this worried look, revving the engine a tad before catching onto my little game. He eases off the accelerator, blending into the traffic as we head back towards Brooklyn. I'm guessing your part of the capper went smoothly. Smooth as silk. Had a bit of fun in the lab downstairs, but hey, I got what I came without breaking a sweat. Quite an adventurous night, I see. I toss my head back and laugh, catching his genuine smile out of the corner of my eye. You can call it that. And you? Enjoyed going all snobby rich kid on that poor concierge? He shrugs, all casual like. I have little sympathy for venture ghouls. As far as I'm concerned, they signed up for this job and it's all its perks. Ice cold, man. Impressive too. Stick around me a little longer and I'll make a con artist out of you yet. Who's to say I'm not one already? I can't help but burst out into laughter again, straight from the depth of my shriveled heart, completely genuine. We're heading back to, apparently still in Manhattan. I thought we were heading back to Brooklyn, but so be it. Full of bite. Time to dive into this ocean of data and pray our shark picks up the scent of something that'll make the whole heist worth it. I don't know about giving it to Kaiser. I would have loved to look at it myself, to be honest. Kaiser keeps us hanging at the meet-out spot like it's his personal joke. Clearly his way of saying, fuck you. His massive limo finally rolls up, and we're heard inside by the same lanky guy as before, the door slamming shut behind us with a resounding thud. Patrick and I barely get a moment to settle before Kaiser impatiently extends his hand, signaling for me to hand over the stolen hard drive. I'm tempted to give him a high five first, but I figure he might end up tossing me out of the window or something. He plugs the device into one of his many laptops and silently sifts through the data. A satisfied grin spreads across his grotesque face. Must have hit the jackpot with some serious dirt on the city's big shot. Maybe even beyond. Suddenly, he lets out a long, sharp whistle, his hairless eyebrows shooting skyward. They've got a shit ton on Cassell. A shit ton, huh? My gut churns uneasily. Lay it on me. Are you sure you want to dig into this? 'Cause from where I'm sitting, he is royally fucked. I swallow nervously, but there is no hesitation in my voice. Yeah. Hit me with it. Oh, with pleasure. He shows us a scan of a detailed report from the FBI's Special Affairs Division. The file, apparently intercepted by an unnamed circulatory system associate, is chock full of Reynard. Photos, videos, you name it. And according to his rap sheet here, he pulls up another file. The system's elimination of conscience with Reynard's name. He is balls deep in every kind of shady deal you can think of. Look at this. Selling rare blood, mortal trafficking, nothing new there. Preaching the Masquerade, yada yada. Corroborating with the SAD, like hell. Diablerie. Now that's war shit. I can feel Patrick's gaze on me, but I refuse to meet it in fear that he might actually read something from my eyes. I'm no saint, okay? Most of that stuff kinda rings a bell. A week ago I was the one pulling the strings behind the merchandise transfers through my dark web channels. Not that I always knew what was being shuffled around. I'm not sure how much I would have cared even if I knew. I've dabbled in some truly nasty shit, both after and before my embrace. See, it's him mixing in shady red market deals and being sloppy enough to get the SAD's radar. That's what caused Cassell plastered all over the circulatory system. Dartboard. Isn't there anything else worth mentioning? Fuck yeah, there is. Arms trade. The fuck? That's actually news to me. Also, again, it's not unheard of. Kindred dipping their toes in selling guns. And is that an issue? Gun running. Please, this whole fucking country stands on semi-automatic legs. The problem is whom he's trading with. But it doesn't even matter. No way that dumb fuck alone could, how did they put it, coordinate a weapon deal with a high-profile mortal dickhead. And he stops talking, the asshole. I count to 10 and ask, does it say who that mortal is? Kaiser shrugs dismissively, still looking through the pages. Nope. The rest is all redacted. Must be some important asshole. Or a dangerous one. Or they have no idea. And speaking of, they've got Cassell mixed up with that fucking Hudson witch. She's right there, up there in the circulatory system hit list too. I guess cunts of a feather flock together. Not much dirt on her though. Nothing I don't already know, at least. Vitae freezes in my veins. I exchange bleak glances with Patrick, remembering Sansaric's words. But Reynard getting even cockier in his new powerful patron, the self-appointed Queen of the Hudson River. Maybe it's a good idea to wheedle some more information about her out of Kaiser. Let's say she's a tough bitch. Maybe he will say he's tougher or something like that. Yeah, Fritra is a tough cookie to crumble. Patrick shoots me a warning look, which frankly I don't understand. Intel is power, my guy. What? Marcel clued you in about her or something? Sounds like bullshit, Raven. I don't need to be kept in any loops to hear the tales around the city. Everyone in their sire is shitting their pants about her. True. They're right. Though nobody really knows anything solid about her. Even me. Just that she's involved in some nasty shit. There's whispers she's tangled with the Black Hand. Zero proof to that though. Believe me, I'd know if there was any. Patrick visibly twitches and gets busy spinning his ring. The Black Hand? You mean the Sabbath? Aren't they extinct on the East Coast? They were driven out of New York City 2 decades ago. Does not mean they're extinct. Conroy, as always, seems to know too damn much. But yeah, bingo. Still, I don't buy that she's with them. Doesn't fit her style of playing the big game. Care to elaborate on that? He sighs deeply as if my question brought him no small amount of trouble, but does start talking almost immediately. Maybe he just wants to talk, but has to claim reluctance cause he's got a reputation to uphold. Don't know, man. Is that a Nosferatu thing or something? D'Angelo also's chatty as hell. About a year and a half back, almost to the T, Vidra just pops up in New York overnight, takes over the whole fucking Hudson and half of Staten Island, and then just poof, vanishes off the grid. What do you mean? I thought she's been keeping the city in check the whole time. She has. She's been laying pretty low for Kindred, annihilating anyone trying to prey or step onto her turf. She's brutal. If Cassell is really in that cahoots with her and still keeps his head, fuck, that's no small feat. The bigwigs probably want him just for pulling that off. But don't get it twisted. Whatever shit they're spinning, it ain't really part of his plan. I furrow my brows. It's an angle I haven't even thought about, and by the looks of sheer panic flashing over Patrick's face, neither has he. Nobody knows what Vidra's game is, which is exactly why every fucker in and their sire in this town wants her gone. Volatility is a bitch for keeping order here in the big fucking apple. What I've seen, that's pretty much typical Kindred push and pull in big cities. Seems to me like she's just on the other side of the same coin here, but with one non-negotiable rule. Patrick butts in, his voice firm and cold. Yes, don't fuck with Vidra. Kaiser just shrugs, visibly annoyed, indicating he's done with the conversation. His sharp eyes go back looking through the file on the SAD compiled on Reynard. He seems to be talkative. Baiting him. I think he would look through that. I think let's be cunning. I think that's our clan's specialty. So let's go all in with subterfuge. I crane my head and not so subtly read over Kaiser's shoulder. The name Edison Payne is peppered through this section of the document. Edison Payne. Hey, isn't this old fart in the wheelchair from the Camarilla? The one and only paraplegic blue blood cunt. This report makes certain conjectures about him. Yeah, what kind of conjectures? These ain't from the SAD file, they're straight from the circulatory system, based on the shit they found in their records. There's been talk about Payne, and there he really stands, all because he apparently was buying spiked blood from Cassell. Payne buying from Reynard. Why would he do that? A wealthy venture like him would have no need for stooping so low. Seems like just a month or so ago, some Ventru began pushing to cut off Payne's access to his circulatory system privileges. Crafty little shits, I'll give them that. What is that supposed to mean? Kaiser grins at him unpleasantly. Can you really trust a man who uses someone else's voice to speak? Just let that sink in, Conroy. What's that supposed to mean? Kaiser just shrugs me off, slams the laptop closed and raps on the glass to the driver. The limo swerves hard to the right and comes to a full screeching halt. The door next to me pops open. That's all I've got for you. Now fuck off. Take the hint. Hold up, I want a copy of that file. Kaiser stares at me like I've grown a second head, then bursts out laughing. It sounds like the croak of a dying frog. I ain't your fucking comedian. Now get the hell out, or I'll throw you out myself. Were we still mortal, after all the revelations of tonight, Patrick and I would probably hunker down in the dim corner of a bar, drinking our, well, mine mostly, sorrows away and unraveling the tangled skein of our findings. Since we cannot stomach alcohol, we just wander around in silence for a while until we settle on a tiny little bench hidden beneath a naked winter tree. There, well, I'd like to say that we talk, but it's more like a floodgate bursting within me, unleashing a tidal wave of pent-up frustrations. And Patrick just quietly lets me rant, slowly spinning his ring and nodding from time to time. The sheer number of times Reynard pops up in these SAD files is pretty fucking concerning. Not only because of the actual shit he's pulled, but also because he's been so damn sloppy about it. There's so much stuff on him. Stuff that could have easily been avoided if he just, I don't know, put a bit of thought into his actions. Kept me in the loop, maybe. Like, it's no coincidence that there's nothing specific about me in that file, you know? I clean up after myself thoroughly, I think. Regular people wouldn't find shit, and Reynard left so much fucking trail behind him. I'm surprised he's not in some kindred Guantanamo right now. They could have backed him without breaking a sweat. Patrick gives a skeptical hum, leaning forward and examining his ring. And yet, they haven't. Perhaps that speaks volume about your sire's ability to dodge bullets, even deep in hostile trenches. I snort inelegantly. I guess. He's Ravnos, after all. There's a few beats of silence before Patrick speaks up again. Any idea why Reynard might be dealing in arms with mortals? I sigh deeply, feeling the air expanding my lungs more than humanly possible, and shake my head. Honestly, Patrick, I feel like I don't know shit anymore. I mean, Reynard was never particularly precious towards mortals, so I thought maybe we'd end up wrangling some eventually, but now I just don't know. Plus, arm stealing, that's so, I don't know, it's not our style, you know? We're Ravnos, we're tricksters, con artists, not warlords. Can't recall dealing with a single mortal since my embrace almost 2 years ago. If Reynard was peddling something, I'd expect it to be fake shit, decoys or whatever, but guns just does not make any sense. Patrick gives me that deliberate cuff of his, the prelude to dropping some unsettling truth. I hate to be the bearer of harsh truth, but I get the feeling that you never truly knew your sire. A couple of nights ago I would have flipped out at that suggestion, but now I collect a handful of gravel from the ground and toss it bit by bit into a puddle of melting snow. It's all poor bullshit. I don't even know anymore. It's all poor bullshit. Yeah, and I'm fucking pissed about it. I mean, I knew he was good at hiding stuff, but not that good. Almost 2 fucking years I was by his side every goddamn night. Am I just that blind? Or maybe I straight up ignored all the red flags? What the fuck? You know, I think you shouldn't be blaming yourself for his dishonesty. It's quite literally not your fault. Nobody can go through this ordeal expecting not to be crossed at every given moment, especially by those we trust the most. That would be a pretty miserable existence, don't you think? I'm not equipped to unpack all that right now, sorry. Besides, I have no cash on me for that therapy session you're pushing for Dr. Conroy. His smile is a little wry, but not hostile at all. You know, thinking about it, we've been hunting down my sire for 4 nights, and I realize now jack shit about yours. Care to share a bit in the spirit of this painfully awkward moment? He keeps quiet for a little while. Frankly, I can't tell you much about them because I don't know myself. What do you mean? I simply don't know who impressed me. He clears his throat and hesitates while I fight the urge to dig deeper. It's a faint memory now, but I remember almost dying towards the end of World War II. Somewhere along the Western Front, I think. Then I remember crawling out of a pile of corpses the next night. That's all. I assume I was embraced by a fellow soldier, but there's really no way to confirm. Patrick, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I pat him awkwardly on the shoulder and he nods, looking not at me, but at his lucky ring. I have come to terms with it, but I appreciate the sentiment. We sit in silence a bit longer. There aren't many people around, but the city still feels alive, bustling, even at 3 in the morning in late December. The air between us is a little tense. Probably shouldn't have prodded about his sire, but, well, I'm me. I scramble for a new topic and remember we haven't finished discussing our latest scoop from the circulatory systems database. So, what I can't wrap my head around is why someone like Payne, a big shot Ventru, would go through such lengths to avoid buying blood through the company he partially owns. Is he, trying to back out? Tank their stock on purpose, or what? Or maybe he's plotting to start his own gig? Hard to see how with all the Ventru red tape, but maybe? Could he be setting up Reynard as his go-to supplier, or is that stretching it too much? Indeed, that doesn't seem like a stretch. It's an audacious, almost disrespectful move. Not really Payne's way of doing things, especially as he's trying to usurp Penhart. But why else would he do that? The file did say he was buying spiked blood from Reynard. That's oddly specific. Maybe that particular type wasn't available through the circulatory system. I mean, all blood bags are spiked. That's the only way they stay edible. One of the reasons why the resident Duskborn alchemist had so much shit to do all the time in our gang. Patrick hums thoughtfully, slowly spinning his ring. Well, I'm stumped, but hopefully we can find a way to use the information to our advantage when we face the council. You mean exposing Payne as a fraud? Right in front of everyone else? Damn, Conroy, that's some serious badassery for you. It would be badassery if we had any evidence of these suspicions, which we unfortunately do not. I deflate a little, clicking my tongue. Yeah, I guess that's an obstacle. And how does Vitra fit into all of this? The ever-elusive mistress of the Hudson River. Think we could dangle her as bait before the council? Patrick stills and stiffens, spinning the dice ring as fast as his hand allows. Fuck, I forgot he's so irrationally terrified of her. I'm grasping at straws, I know, but everyone's freaked out by her. I'm not saying Reynard usually shies away from tough cases, but there's so many easier targets to scam. It's also fucked up. I don't get any of it. I don't understand either. He so doesn't want to talk about her. Fine. I let him off the hook this time. The weight of tonight's events is starting to crush me, and maintaining this upbeat mask is draining anyway. Thankfully, this time it's Patrick who breaks the awkward silence. Tonight marks the last night of our grace period Kadir gave you. All our leads have dried up. It's unlikely we would find anything else of use anyway. I think we have enough circumstantial proof to clear your name in the eyes of the council. We could trade that for your freedom. You mean for a longer leash? They won't clear me unless I hand over Reynard, and we both know it. Sure, we have some solid clues, but they're just that. The way the Camarilla treated me, well, I'm not exactly optimistic about returning empty-handed. Best case scenario, they order me to stay in the city and give me another impossible task. Worst case scenario, Cartier takes my head clean off my shoulders. And I don't even know where that leaves you. Technically, you are just supposed to keep an eye on me, but I just vaguely in Patrick's eyes defeated. Yeah. He squints at the starless sky. There's still time until sunrise, but I doubt we'll find anyone at Elysium tonight. Gives me a careful once over. Doubt and pity clear as day in his eyes. Do you have a safe place to stay the day? You're welcome at my haven, if needed. The couch should still be there, I believe. I crack a faint smile. Should still be there, huh? Good thing you didn't get into sales, cause you wouldn't sell shit. I have some options, I guess. I only used a couple of our safe houses around New York so far. I don't know. Can I catch up with you later or something? I need some time to think. On my own. He looks at me for a long while, tilting his head hesitantly while his spidery fingers slowly spin his dice ring. And then he just stops and nods curtly. Take your time. I'll wait for you until dawn. I chuckled disbelievingly, unable to keep just a little bit of bitterness creeping into my voice. What if I skip town or something, taking advantage of your misguided generosity? I don't think you will. You haven't thus far, have you? He stands, looking down at me intently. I still believe we can turn this Titanic around before it crashes into the iceberg. We just need to get hold of the steering wheel. He gives my shoulder a reassuring pat and strides off into the night, leaving me to my ruminations. And with that, we will end our episode to continue next time to see what might or might not happen in the seemingly last night of our quest. See you then, next time.